Good morning, everybody. Paola De Luca speaking. It is a great pleasure to be joining a virtual jewelry fair. I am Italy based right now in Tuscany. This is my living room. And yes, I am in partial lockdown still since our past year. We've been actually chatting with our screen, and sometimes we feel like we are going a little crazy because we are talking by ourselves inside the house, to a unseen audience. So I'll try to do my best and try to make it as lively and joyful, and hoping to share some interesting insights with you. So let's start today. First of all, sharing a little bit about my background. I am Paola De Luca, a creative director, founder of the Futurist Limited, a UK-based London, which also has executive offices in Italy. I'm also the co-founder of Trend Vision Jewellery and Forecasting, which is an independent observatory, part of the Italian exhibition group, which owns the Vicenza Oro Show. Is one of the top 2-3 jewelry show in the world, and I am really proud to have founded this independent observatory almost 10 years ago, which we are monitoring socio-cultural shifting, consumer culture, emerging design movements, and their impact on the jewelry sectors, and etc. etc. So we are really specialists. We have an international network of professionals which are collecting data and information that we analyze and basically develop our reports, which are of course for sales. You can link on our website trendvisionforecasting.com, and there are many reports free that you can download, and or you can purchase the latest jewelry trend book, the Jewelry Trend Book 22, which is digitally downloadable online. So let's start today with our presentation, and let's see if we are able to share some insights. So Jewelry Design Direction 21-22, International Consumer Insights and Inspiration. So during the last year, of course, we faced globally the pandemic, something completely unexpected, something that changed forever the way we view life, the way we are interacting with each other, our emotional feelings, of course, the way we have been, working, the way we've been acting, and also the way we are shopping and also dressing, and eventually also the way we purchase and will be purchasing jewelry, and also we wear them. So the consumer landscape is very important, because every time a designer, a retailer, a manufacturer, they are seeking and scouting for new ideas, new product, and so on, I always ask them, who are you selling to? What is your consumer landscape? What is your environment? And by environment, I mean, where do these people live? How do they, what do they believe in? What are their values? How they are dressing? What, where are they? How are the house that they're living in, and so on. And so, what we are, here mentioning as behavioral patterns, new values, and transformations, all these factors have a strong impact on consumers' behavior and ultimately in the jewelry sector. So are sociocultural shifting. During this past year, we have become more fragile due to the many difficulties and challenges that we have been facing. People is becoming more in touch with their emotions. We have faced many challenges on a personal level, on a financial level. Some people lost people that they love. And so what is the new normal? What are these diversities and also the inclusivity that we have to accept in terms of our daily life, but also our, the social rights and activism has been actually something very strong. Then it started a few years ago already. It's becoming stronger and stronger during this time, not only with racial minorities, but also women's movement, gender fluid, and is becoming an important factor in aesthetics and also values. So all these again elements are very important, and they have a very strong effect in the way we are thinking and therefore behaving. Environmental changes. Also, the pandemic made everybody more aware of what's happening in nature, and nature now more than ever has become the center of observation, celebrated more than ever from a literal to an abstract perspective. So the concept of organica is really very much an inspiration for design, material, but also practices like upcycling or recycling, and all these, let's say again, behaviors will strongly impact and are impacting already the jewelry industry. Phygital age. Well, we are, right now, this is something very phygital, actually very digital. I am a person that is talking to you from far away with a video, and we are, it's very blur, the line between what's online and what's analog. And is it going to continue? Well, I believe, and many I would say many professionals and specialists believe that after the pandemic, we want to be closer with each other. We want to be back and really on an emotional and physical level, because enough already with this long distance and everything being completely aseptic and distant. But definitely communicating online and has become something that it will stay. And that will then translates into communicating, jewelry, sales, professionals, brand ambassadors, shows, and so on. It's no longer, it's an ongoing dialogue with online communities and with engaging communities. This is very important. And so the new norm is becoming more emotional, and what is called the human touch is making technology more and more, again, sensitive to humans' needs. Omnichannel, it is also something that is going to be more, let's say, assimilated in our businesses, but also our communication. Omnichannel implies new medium, new ways of communicating, co-interaction, community building, but also what is called siloless mentality and dialogues. And what do we mean by siloless? Really thinking out of the box is no longer about only the jewelry sector, which is being very much ghettoized, always very close-minded, very old-fashioned compared to other industries, like, for instance, the luxury or the fashion industry. Jewelry are part of societies. It's a way of expressing consumers and actually people's emotions, and thinking out of the box and being siloless translates into really not just thinking about gold, gemstones, and material, but how can we express our emotion through jewelry, and how can we also not have a narrative that really story tell the meaning of a jewel that becomes the symbol of a belief, an emotion, a personality, something. And now we finally are, facing what we call the demographic map, which actually translates also in what is psychographic. So let me spend a few moments on really explaining how all these abstract and intangible values have an impact on society and therefore the jewelry industry. So starting from left to right, we can see that We have dates, so we can see that we can, let's say, frame from a demographic perspective what is called silent generation from 1925 to 1945. So people aged from 75 to 92. And then we move on to the boomers, which is 656 to 74, and then Gen X 40 to 55, and then the millennials, then Gen Z, and then last one, the Gen Alpha. So during the last, 5 years, millennials have been the buzzword for marketeers about, what are the biggest segment, demographic segment that will be purchasing jewelry. Truth of the matter is that the world is morphing, is changing, is becoming more and more fluid, the liquid society, and the gender, but also an age fluid factor is emerging. By age fluid, we mean that there is people, first of all, that is living longer, the quality of life is much better. People that was once considered elderly now is very youthful. And so there are these kidult, but also teenagers, so senior teenagers, which are finally doing and living the life that they really want to do. And the millennials, which are basically considered between age 23 to 39, especially the older millennials are not that young anymore, and they are completely focusing on, their career building, but also their families. Therefore, they are very much involved with, saving money, buying their homes, sending kids to school, and so on. Gen Z, on the other hand, which is 9 to 22, and I would focus on this segment, which is like 18 to 22, 23, they are the ones that they are now, first of all, they have also a little bit of different values, and they are looking at jewelry and the concept of luxury in a different way. Last but not least, the alpha generation, which is now only 9 to 10 years old. But let's keep an eye on these kids, because these kids have an influence, and they are quick, they are a fast learner, and in a couple of years, 2-3 years, we're talking about 14, 15, they are going to ask their parents to buy something. Could be an iWatch, could be a little bracelet, could be a little pendant, a little something. So that is very important. So this is the reason why I'm showing you this, is really to acquire what we call a strategic perspective. That's what forecasting and trend forecasting is for. Trend forecasting is very much for really understanding and having an active perspective, an active vision on the market, and how to collect data and then translate this information for a business strategy that could be for a designer, a retailer, a manufacturers, and so on. So as you can see in this chart, under each column, you see the values of this consumer. And we can read through from balanced to the silent generation, sensitive, careful, but also time-rich, frugal, opportunistic, decisive, tech astute. Now, all these values are very important, because those are the values that are influencing their lifestyle, and therefore the way they purchase, and also the way what they are buying. But let's now move in what we call, and this is, we have to thank Trend Vision, the independent observatory that, of course, I direct actually, and which is powering today informations and about trend jewelry design direction 21 and 22. So based on all these values, we have identified and selected some themes for you, which are pretty much translate what are called the emotional values into product. One of these themes is what we called opti-minimal. Now, forget the naming. We always have to classify a movement, a design movement, a cultural shifting, a cultural movement. But this is pretty much like optimizing minimalism. So minimalism, and here we have some keywords meaning new basic, essential jewelry, geometric jewelry, kinetic jewelry, daily jewelry, simple, basic. Now, all these informations are at the core of the neo-core, meaning like of the everyday jewelry, which have gone and they're morphing into a different level. As you can see, the palette is pretty neutral. It's very clear, it's very black and white, it's very, clean. And as you can see here, we have a selection of these pieces. What do we mean by these pieces? These pieces, these jewelry are clean, yet they move. They have incredible technical performances. They are fluid, fluid architectural shapes, minimal, sleek style, silhouettes, kinetic. And by kinetic, we mean jewelry that they move with your body. And then it's emotional tech, understated diamonds, silueless luxury. More and more jewelry and elements and components also for what we call smart technology. We have actually have seen that smart jewelry, there are some experiment and some action there, but the truth of the matter that most of the action is in the, let's say, in the accessory of the of technology rather than the smart jewel itself, beside except for actually watches. We are going to monitor these evolutions. We definitely believe that the only way to succeed in this, let's say, venture, it is that, jewelry designer or makers associate with technology company. Only when they will merge together, it will be successful for various reasons, includes also their distribution. The second theme that we have selected for you is what we called silueless, unisex jewelry, edgy fashion, urban style, punk rock, gender fluid, gender free, fluid fashion. So this is a very, let's call it edgy, but it's very much associated to this concept of gender fluid jewelry. It's something that is very cool. It's a little bit, it comes from an underground culture, but let's not associate that it will only stay there, because many times something starts in the underground cultures and becomes mainstream. Remember skulls, for instance, and oxidated metals. So all these, like even chunky links, these seasons are growing more and more. Big chunky links for women and men, round and or oval, but definitely, as you can see here, there are like looks that can be worn by women and men. Of course, mainly here we are targeting a younger generation. That means Gen Z and also millennials, but also you might find also, let's say, more mature people, youthful, let's say, attitude, or millennial, we call it, mindset people. They will be wearing this jewelry despite of their gender. And again, in this world, in more of an industrial feel, we can see some kind of, flexible tubing, everything that is basic yet as a performance. So everything that is flexible, that moves, it is very, very cool. Hoops and linear and metal colors combination and diamonds. So this is a very cool direction that will be growing more and more. Um, Organic exploration, we were looking at environmental changes and having consumer being more and more sensitive about these issues. And that's why here we are seeing more and more healing crystals and energy and holistic living and raw minerals and natural gemstones. More and more rough stones are being used in their natural way. And the healing power of nature and gemstones is being strongly celebrated from like few seasons, I would say, but now even more. Even gold, it's being treated in a rough way, brushed finishes, kind of a little bit rough, sometimes is pebbles inspired. So kind of leaving the what is called imperfection or I am perfection. So the imperfection and the inclusion that becomes the beauty mark of a stone or a piece. Limited edition, crafty pieces, forgive me, they're definitely wanted by consumers. And more collectible pieces, mix matched pieces. It could be earrings, could be anything. Consumer nowadays are buying non-matching sets. Could be two different earrings, also because of piercing. Some people are wearing three studs in one ear and two in another one. So there are no more rules. Consumers are really wearing what they please and the way they like it. And so creating collections that they are not, let's say, predictable, it's really a success element for consumers. Developing collection by piece that consumers can collect on their own as a jewelry wardrobe, as an alphabet to design and put together their personal messages expressing their personality. Digital tactility, neon forever enamel jewelry, alternative jewelry, recycled glass jewelry, upcycled gem, and so on. So this world is definitely a world that is kind of echoing a digital palette. Bright color, neon color, enamel, inlaid stones, PVD, colored metal, blue and many other colors. I mean, this is really a world of expression. It's definitely a millennial and Gen Z as well, but also Gen X is wearing many pieces. It's about good mood, it's about vibrancy, and as you can see, it is playing with jewelry and material. So resins and plastics associated to precious material. It's really a playful world that it is also gender fluid. As you can see, designers from all over the world, they are communicating with, again, bright colors and with messages full of irony, almost reflecting and chatting, jewelry chatting, and they're really like emoji inspired. And then this world of merging and blending culture, nomadnik, exotic decor, tribal jewelry, ethnic jewelry, vintage crafts, tribal punk. So this is a world of really mixing culture and not really having a clear ideas of the origin of these pieces. So they are really morphing into a global village that takes its inspiration from local culture and ancient culture, and it becomes really something almost tribal punk. As you can see the model on the left side, it's really interesting the fact that different racial backgrounds are mixing, and we are really reflecting this cultural wealth in jewelry and of course fashion. New codes with no boundary, no prejudice, with really an inclusive approach of design codes and values. And as you can see here, incredible pieces that might come from different parts of the world, and there is not time and space. So it's really kind of a journey between geography and historical eras. And so charms and talisman and charms in general will be are popular already, but are becoming more popular to collect and mix and match. So we'll be seeing more, like I said previously, links, and the links, they're really becoming the base for like really collecting and hanging your souvenir de voyage. So really your souvenir of your travel, that could be an heirloom, that could be something that you picked up by traveling, something that you was, you know, gifted to you, something that is just meaningful to you, but with this really kind of global, you know, cultural approach. It's very like a nomad. And in this world of traveling, now we are working in this historical crossover, modern heirloom, ancient wisdom, historical fashion, gold granulation. So digging into local cultures, and really get inspired by ancient culture, but with a modern, futuristic approach. So as you can see, this mood board, there are, yes, neoclassic and ancient element, but they are taken forward to the future. And here, as you can see, you know, incredible past references, historical archives, coins and metals. They are pretty popular, and you know, these seasons. Large medallion, snakes, they are continuing their popularity, of course, and pearls. Pearls, this is very important. Pearls are very popular, not necessarily only in this, let's say, design theme, but throughout all the themes. Pearls together with colored gemstones, you know, minerals, rough gemstones. It's something that is being extremely used and appreciated by the jewelry collectors. And again, you know, ancient gold chains, ancient techniques that could be from granulation, but also by ancient technique, we're going to be seeing more and more sliced diamonds from India, for instance, and enameling in an old traditional way. So there's kind of a rediscovery of ancient techniques that have been actually celebrated by modern, by younger designers, and they're being actually filtered with a contemporary and futuristic perspective. Now, I end my presentation hoping that I haven't bored you. I selected some themes. I wanted to give you some kind of an interesting perspective, an interesting idea, a portfolio of possibilities of what is happening globally among designers, brands, and makers, and to really see what are the seeds that they're happening now and what we are projecting for the upcoming seasons. I hope to be in touch with you. You might follow me on my personal Instagram account, which is paoladeluca.thefuturist. But you can also purchase the trend book, which is on trendvisionforecasting.com. It's for sale. It is a wonderful publication that will basically help you navigate the upcoming seasons. And I'm honored to be part of this wonderful initiative that, you know, is being organized in Australia. And I look truly forward to be physically in Australia maybe next year. It's a wonderful country. We know that. And we all love you very, very much. And I hope to see you again, and maybe to contribute to many other of your wonderful initiative, and keep up being a great country and being great designers. And good luck to the whole jewelry industry and everybody else. Thank you very much. From Paola De Luca.